Hi folks, the hair has a life of its own, so you're going to have to figure out whether you can tolerate it or not. Okay. Weekly overview. There are only two astrological events happening this week, the week of May the 5th to the 11th. On the 6th, Mercury conjuncts Chiron in Aries, and on the 10th, Mercury moves into the sign of Taurus all the way to May the 27th. On May the 27th, Mercury enters Gemini, and we have the new moon in Gemini. So both those events happen on the 27th. So till the 27th, we're still in the month of Taurus that was created by the new moon in Taurus on April the 27th. Mercury is in Aries till the 10th of May, and on May the 10th, Mercury joins the Sun in Taurus. The Sun will move into Gemini as it normally does around the 21st. This time, actually, the 20th Pacific time for me. The Sun will move into Gemini, and then on the 27th, the new moon will occur, and Mercury will move into Gemini. So let's first talk about the Aries part of the chart. As you know, the Aries part of the chart is the primary part of the chart that we're currently meant to lean into to create our future state or to develop something. It's where our development lies. The North Node eclipses have been going over the house occupied by Aries in your chart since March, April 23. I know a lot of you know this. We've been talking about it a lot. And they will exercise that influence at least till the end of the first week of June. As I mentioned in my May monthly overview that I posted earlier today. I recorded it yesterday, but by the time I actually posted it, it was past midnight. So just know that the May monthly overview is there. I thought it was not my best showing, but people have been lovely with their comments, and it does seem to be a useful video. We're just in a phase. I posted the Pluto retrograde video 2 days ago, the May overview yesterday or earlier today, and now the weekly overview. And the aim in the next couple of days is to post the full moon in Scorpio video, which is going to be a little over a week away. Okay, so it's going to be one of those multiple videos on a consecutive basis. So viewers who view my videos, you can pace yourself accordingly and figure out which one you're going to see and catch up on all of them. But the monthly overview does seem to have proved useful and helpful to some folks. In this weekly overview, the Aries part of the chart is where the last new moon solar eclipse occurred, and for me, the week before and after May the 29th may well resonate with that particular eclipse. For some astrologers, that eclipse will exercise its influence all the way to the end of the first week of October. I think that that influence may well be there, but the peak of the influence will be done by the end of the first week of June. Wherever the North Node eclipses are occurring is where our progress lies for some reason. And so understanding the house in which Aries sits will be important. And I did, in the membership portion of my channel, I have done new moon solar eclipse in Aries videos for all rising signs. You can watch them for your moon and your sun, but those are there as well. So that may give you a sense of what these eclipses are about for your rising sign. Let me do my homework super quick. 3 ways to engage with me. 1, by viewing the free content I post on this channel. 2nd, by becoming a member for $6.99 a month. You can even be a member for a month or 2 or 3 and check it out and then decide whether you want to continue or not. And in the membership part of the channel, currently I am posting sign-specific videos for your rising sign. And as I said, you can watch them for your sun and moon as well if you're interested. And then the 3rd way to engage with me is to get a reading, a personal reading for your birth chart. And my email address, as well as information on memberships, is in the description box below. You can email me at that email address, and I can get you information about rates and formats, and you can determine if you want to move forward. Okay. So yeah, the Aries part of the chart is where we went to lean into. The Aries part of the chart is also where Venus and Mercury went retrograde. They got to somewhere between 9 and 10 degrees of Aries and then went retrograde in March. to go back to Pisces to help stabilize the Pisces part of the chart, and then have moved into Aries and are moving through it. Mercury getting ready to move through it by May the 10th. Venus is going to spend all of May till, again, the end of the first week of June in Aries. So we get to now move forward in the Aries part of the chart. And where Mercury goes, communications and transactions occur. With Mercury, and some of this, I hope that regular videos are kind of able to almost see and guess where I'm going with this, and are able to interpret my aspect interpretations now to some extent. That will be actually a source of joy for me with regard to the planetary archetypes, because sort of my whole aim, and even the aim with the membership part of the channel, eventually, once I start to post more instructional videos there, we just haven't had time because it's been such an astrologically heavy February and March and April, is for you to be able to form your own relationship with the planets and your own chart, and kind of figure out for yourself what is going on with these transits in your chart. With Mercury, Mercury rules the mental realm, our mind. It is not solar knowing. It is not the sun. It is not a connection to something intuitive. It is not the sun. It is not Uranus. It is not aha moments, as much as it is making sense of things that we receive from our five senses as fact. Mercury takes communication into the 3D realm. What am I reading? What am I hearing? What am I seeing? How is my mind making sense of things? What are facts? And what is real? And what do I know? What have I heard? What can I confirm? And also communication, verbal communication, written communication. So sometimes the very act of planning, drafting messages in our minds, what I would do, thinking, processing, articulating, deliberating, analyzing, and then in a more external sense, texting, speaking, calling, writing. Also things like transacting, communicating, traveling, putting things in the mail, the winged messenger. And then as a planet rules siblings and relatives and classmates, but with Mercury, even things like skill acquisition and presentations and TED Talks and social media and the use of technology. So the house occupied by Aries currently has both Mercury and Venus going over it. Even though the month of Aries is over, we are under the shadow of the new moon solar eclipse. Now, in Aries, there are two conjunctions that are occurring for both Mercury and Venus. And the first of these has occurred for both these planets. Mercury conjuncting Neptune, and Mercury conjuncted Neptune, all the way on April the 16th. And Venus conjuncted Neptune just a couple of days ago on the 2nd. And I just want you to be able to reflect on what you think these Neptune conjunctions may have been about for you in the Aries part of the chart. I've already done 2 videos on Neptune and Aries for the free part of my channel. I've already done rising sign specific videos for Neptune in Aries, in the Aries part of your chart, if you know your rising sign. So you can take a look at that. But now that these aspects are over and we are very fresh from the Neptune-Venus conjunction 2 days ago, I think it is time to reflect on the pros and the challenges, the positive and the potentially positive and potentially challenging impact of Neptune going over the house occupied by Aries. When a planet first enters a house and is met up with the personal planets, those meetups can give us a sense of what is on the agenda. And with Neptune, there's always a few things to be concerned about, which is Neptune offers a kind of letting go of ambition, self-interest, and becoming selfless, and a sort of a giving away of resources, talent. At the same time, Neptune is a highly spiritual planet and a highly creative, artistic, inspired influence. So I'm going to let you get a sense of what it is that you think. And certainly for members, those rising sign specific videos or Neptune and Aries will help you get a sense of, oh, what are the potential pros and the potential cons. And since the middle of March, or maybe since Mercury went direct, let's just say since March the 10th till about now, what have these conjunctions with Neptune kind of meant to you? So you're just processing that. Now, once the planets moved past the Neptune conjunction, they're moving towards a conjunction that is more empowering, healing, and that is the fact that Mercury conjuncts Chiron on the 6th, 2 days from now, and Venus conjuncts Chiron on June the 2nd, I believe, June the 1st. June the 1st. Chiron, as I've explained to you before, wherever he transits, tries to reintegrate us and heal us and re-empower us, because it may well be that some aspect of ourselves was separated from us in our childhood or teenage years and created a wound. Sometimes it's a lack of self-confidence. Sometimes it is acting in a way that does not put ourselves first. It is not, it is a wounded way of behaving. And Chiron seeks to correct that and heal that. And Chiron has, as I mentioned in my monthly overview yesterday, and as I've mentioned before, played an important role in these new moon solar eclipses in Aries all the way from March, April 23. The April 8th new moon solar eclipse in Aries, as I've said to you multiple times, was conjunct Chiron not only to the degree, but to the minute. And with Chiron, very often Chiron will re-expose you to situations that bring your attention to the wound or the woundedness. And so they can be painful. But you can't heal something without examining it, diagnosing it, and moving towards the restoration of power, the facilitation of your ability to reintegrate yourself and re-empower yourself. Mercury conjunct, that all sounds very dramatic. Mercury conjuncting Chiron and Venus conjuncting Chiron for me are both positive. You could, as you're heading towards the 6th, and especially after Venus's conjunction with Neptune, you may be at a place where you are, ever since the new moon in Taurus, it has been forward movement time. See, now I can tell why I was inspired to do the monthly overview yesterday, because this weekly overview builds on that. Had I just done a weekly overview on Mercury conjunct Chiron and Mercury moving into Taurus, it would have been like, so what? But now this video very much builds from yesterday's May overview. We're able to put, and we also may be getting opportunities that are starting to pull us forward into a new reality. And while all of this is potentially exciting, it is even more helpful and exciting when that new reality is clear and we know we have the resources and the means to get from where we are to where we need to be. There's something about the energy of this time that gives me a sense that we're moving, but we may not have complete clarity about. So there is the sense of constructing something new, releasing something old, but how we get to where we get to and where we get to is supposed to look like may still not be completely in focus. So there's something unnerving about all of this, but we may have a sense that things are on the move. And certainly since the new moon in Taurus on April 27th, which was not that long ago, we haven't even completed the first week of the Taurus month yet. We're going to complete that in the next couple of days. And then start to move towards that full moon in Scorpio. Opportunities, events, offers, things may have come up that feel like they're kind of opening the windows and blowing off the cobwebs. And now this experience is going to be very different for each rising sign. You know, if you're a Taurus rising and you are juggling the last of the Aries 12th house, self-isolation, trapped, healing, either moving yourself away from the fray or being moved away from the fray or being involved in some sort of caretaking that keeps you trapped, or moving away from the hubbub that you were experiencing prior to March, April 2023, then the last of that isolated energy, even though your new year, as I mentioned to you, Taurus rising in your new moon and Taurus video, your new year has started, and I think most of you will know what I mean by that. But there's still a certain amount of pending last year energy, but also last couple of year energy that is being closed out till the end of the first week of June. Now, for some reason, you need to continue to lean into it to finish and get everything you can out of the new moon. And this is the thing that is important with these Chiron conjunctions. The new moon solar eclipse in Aries that is exercising its influence till the end of the first week of June, and the eclipsy occurrences that may occur for some of us the week before and after May the 29th. And if you want more context on these dates, watch my monthly overview from yesterday. It's really an opportunity now that we have stabilized the Pisces part of the chart some more in March and April for us to really finish up and make the most of the new moon solar eclipses in Aries and get the most out of those Aries eclipses. Now, those eclipses are going to feel very different to a Taurus rising where those eclipses are happening in the 12th house than to a Leo rising where those eclipses are happening in the 9th house, than to, gosh, give me one sec. Why can I not think of? It doesn't matter. I'm going over rising signs in my mind. Just know, in some cases that Aries part of the chart has a more yang energy. In some cases it has a more yin energy, depending on where it is occurring. But unmistakably, we're being asked to spend some time in that direction and finish up those new moon solar eclipses in Aries, where we're meant to lean into the house occupied by Aries in the chart. And Mercury conjuncting Chiron, we may find, and we may already find over the last few days and over the next couple of days, that something about the way we are processing information, processing opportunity, communicating, we may be aware of old patterns, old wounded patterns. We may seek to clean them up and heal them over the next couple of days through communication. There's something about this Mercury conjunction Chiron that feels like the windshields are being cleaned, and everything from our sense and commitment that we are moving towards something new. And while that feels a little terrifying because not everything is clear, we're committed to it, and we are in communication on potential opportunities that could move us towards creating something new. With the Venus-Neptune conjunction, it could be that over the last week, 10 days, a few things have come up that are making us question, could it be this? Could it be not? Have I sort of given myself away and committed to something that may be kind of Neptunian under kind of a fog, but may not be right? But I have a feeling that as this week progresses, we'll be able to sort the wheat from the chaff. But something about our thinking, processing information, and translating that into using communication as a way to correct course, take advantage of opportunities, apply for things, get moving on things. Mercury conjuncting Chiron feels like, as I said, it kind of has a windshield cleaning. Okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to focus on. This is what it means to be healed and complete and self-confident in the house occupied by Aries. And this is how I can translate that into my transactions and my communications and my applications and my interviews and my conduct, and with regard to communication and transactions and the use of technology and applying for things, interviewing, auditioning. I can start to contribute to moving the needle forward, to moving forward in a direction that is more aligned with the future that I want to create through communication, but coming from a more healed and empowered place. Some part of this, a lot of the work since May the 1st around this could very well be, even since the Taurus new moon, could very well be internally processing, thinking, shall I do this, shall I not do this? But even then, there could be a healing taking place. Remember with Chiron what I said yesterday. The North Node in our birth chart not only points to what our desires are in this lifetime, what we are hungering after, what our sense of calling is, what is knocking at our heart. And as I've told you before, always follow the North Node in a grounded manner, keeping an eye on your financial security at all times so it doesn't do a number on you. So that the dream of, I want to be a sculptor, doesn't mean that you move towards it in such a way that it creates massive financial challenges for you because you are feeling the magic, but you are not taking care of keeping the lights on. That said, I do think that the North Node in your birth chart and what it signifies with regard to what is pulling you is increasingly unavoidable on our planet. We follow a more Western philosophy now in many parts of the world around we are here to do and experience what is in our heart and not deny it. And that is symbolized by the North Node in our birth chart. Now, more intriguingly to me, the North Node position in the birth chart, the sign, and especially the house, point to the strategies that are right for you in this lifetime. How do you make decisions? What do you go after? How do you conduct yourself? How do you manage things? How do you approach things? And often I find that Chiron transits are trying to reconnect you to those strategies that are right for you. So as you get to this, see, this is the one advantage of just having one aspect in a week. I can spend 20 minutes on it. The advantage of Mercury conjunct, so what Mercury conjunct Chiron may be trying to do is get you to face up to decisions made, communication choices, how to exercise choices, how to process things, whether it is important for you to look at facts and figures, or whether it is more important for you to rely on your intuition and not overthink things. And both paths are right depending on your North Node placement. I mean, yesterday I mentioned if you have the North Node in Gemini, the third house, it may be very important for you to get what your intuition is telling you, put it to the side, but focus on the facts. And if you have a Sagittarius 9th house North Node, it may be very important for you to make sure that you are not going into overthinking and relying on what your gut is telling you. And because we are here to develop this skill, and it is not already a strength, the South Node will keep pulling us back. And something about Chiron is trying to heal what our soul already knows, but what may have been separated from us in childhood or through our teenage years, and reintegrate that so that we can start thinking in a way and communicating in alignment with the right way of thinking for each of us that leads to results that are more desired. With the North Node, very often we go through life and life says there are two choices. One of them is right and one of them is North Node and one of them is South Node. And what are you going to pick? And it takes, and that is how life keeps presenting itself, I find, throughout. And it's this question of how do you identify which palm holds the breadcrumb that is for you. So that could be, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if you are communicating and moving forward in a way that might be more healed, might be more integrated, and if that has been on your mind with regard to how you're making choices. But also if Venus conjunct Neptune and Mercury conjunct Neptune recently have deluded you or made you take a choice that you are questioning, you may use this Mercury Chiron conjunction to course correct as well. Don't knock everything that Venus Neptune conjunction, Mercury Neptune conjunction have gotten you. This is going to be a very specific thing for each of us. And indeed, no one can help you pass this test. This is on you. And very often, in my case, I find that if I make a South Node choice, I know immediately that the universe gives me a signal right away to go, no, you're going back to what is a strength you came in with and the way you've been operating in previous lifetimes, and that's not the contract. The contract in this lifetime is to approach things in a more North Node centered way. I find that people who were brought up to trust themselves in their teen years and 20s can find their path more easily than those who may have made contracts with parents or other important figures in their life who were meant to represent the South Node. Sometimes the theory is we choose those situations to separate ourselves or create the obstacle that separates itself from the right path for us so that we can experience what it is like to feel like we're leading a false life or we're being encouraged to go against our truth early on. It forces us to recognize the knock in our heart, and it forces us to identify and articulate and lean into what feels right for us and move into a more conscious adulthood and manage those relationships that want to keep us in a South Node place and move towards a path that is truer for us. I hope that made sense. Now, on the 10th, Mercury moves into Taurus, and the Taurus part of our chart, where the new moon occurred, where the sun is, ratchets up. And Mercury now is going to start to move closer, is moving fast. It's going to start to move closer and closer and closer to the sun. Indeed, when the sun moves into Gemini on the 20th, Mercury moves in on the 27th, and a couple of days later, they conjunct. And the new moon in Gemini is actually conjunct Mercury, trining Pluto. So by the time we get to, I would say, the 22nd of the month, we're going to start to have a more combust Mercury, but that is not the case right now. And in the Taurus part of the chart, which is also one of the indicators of where we are meant to go, given the fact that Uranus is in Taurus, really encouraging us to find the right breadcrumbs in the path for us in the house occupied by Taurus. Both the sun and Mercury are going to be making their way towards conjuncting Uranus and trining the South Node in Virgo. So what needs to be released in the Virgo part of the chart to allow you to move in the right direction for you in the Taurus part of the chart? Remember, as I've said, it's the Pisces part of the chart and past issues since 2012 that may have peaked into a crisis in 14, 15, 16, 17 that needs to be stabilized so it doesn't overflow your future direction. And your future direction, the exciting part of the chart and what we're being called to move into right now till the end of the first week of June, is symbolized by the Aries, Taurus, and Gemini part of the chart. After the first week of June, that future state, interestingly, will start to be symbolized by the Pisces, Taurus, and Cancer part of the chart. At the end of the first week of June, Jupiter will move from Gemini to Cancer, and we will be done with the primary influence of the North Node eclipses in Aries, and we will move to the influence, the stronger influence of the new moon solar eclipse, the North Node eclipses in Pisces. There, you have that as well. The end of the first week of June is a major arc coming to completion, and we are hurtling towards it. So I'm excited by both these events, Mercury conjuncting Chiron and Mercury in Taurus. They both have a moving us forward, clarifying, healing quality. As I said to you in last week's overview, even though we have 2 astrological events, which is not much, it is a far from inactive time, not least because as this week moves forward and gets going, starting on Monday, we're 1 week away from quite a powerful full moon. The full moon in Scorpio on Monday the 12th, not Monday the 5th tomorrow, but 1 week from tomorrow, is trining the North Node in Pisces and opposing Uranus in Taurus. And I'm going to do, my next video is going to be about that. And there's something about something coming to light or being brought into visibility or needing to be integrated in the Scorpio part of the chart in a very fated, progressive way that is necessary to be recognized and maybe even acted upon so that you can move again forward in the right way, in the right direction in the Taurus part of your chart. And I will expand on that more. What we need to know right now is that the pace will only increase and we will become more productive, busier, and as we get to the full moon, things will become more emotionally and task-wise unwieldy. The week before the full moon can be productive, but sometimes the sheer intensity and having a massive to-do list and overwhelm and emotional overflow can get in the way of that productivity. As I've said to you multiple times, the most productive energy is the week after the full moon, when the full moon is still big, but we're not moving towards a full moon opposite Uranus trining the North Node. But expect next week for the vast majority of us to start to move. You know, it's like the wave getting momentum and crashing to the shore by the full moon, or it's a little bit like something that's rolling downhill that's just going to keep gathering momentum until we get to that full moon on Monday, energetically. Saturn continues to be in the Pisces part of the chart, asking us to finish up with the stabilizing and cleaning up energy. I would say that about 30% of the energy is still there. Please try and make that a priority so something doesn't come up there to kind of jolt you into some kind of repair action. Pluto is now retrograde in Aquarius. I did the video on that 2 days ago, working over now moving towards the Sun and Venus and Mercury and Mars conjuncting Pluto in January of 2026, and kind of going over the last couple of degrees that it has in Aquarius so that we can integrate what it is trying to loosen in the Aquarius part of the chart, kind of force us to let go of, transition from. And again, if you want to expand on that, take a look at the Pluto retrograde video I did 2 days ago. Jupiter is squaring the nodes in Pisces and Virgo in Gemini. Jupiter's in Gemini. So whatever Jupiter is ending and beginning, Jupiter's transits create an ending of a 12-13 year cycle, and therefore with the ending create a new aligned beginning in the Gemini part of the chart for the next 12-13 years. And that task and that finishing up has a certain amount of urgency to it because we're heading to the end of the first week of June when Jupiter will enter the sign of Cancer. And also, there's some urgency because Jupiter needing to create this ending and new beginning will actually, the nodes need that to happen by the 15th of May, because somewhere the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo are kind of dependent on that ending and new beginning for you to be able to lean into the Pisces part of the chart to get what you need to get there. Oh, fascinating times. As I said, far from inactive. All right, I will leave it at that. I would say 30% of the energy in the Pisces part of the chart, 30% of the energy in the Aries part of the chart, 30% of the energy in the Taurus part of the chart, and 10% of the energy in the Gemini part of the chart. Pluto's going to do its thing no matter what. So, as I explained yesterday, that's just happening. Pluto's working the soil and everything on top of it. Everything that we're dealing with is going to be constructed on top of it. Take a look at the monthly video overview for May that I did yesterday and the Pluto retrograde video. I will focus on the full moon next. Have a great and productive week. There's no question that it's going to have an element of juggling multiple things and multiple energies. I need to cut my nails. All right, folks, feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, or tell your friends or anybody who may find this content useful. Share it, get the word out. I'd be grateful when you subscribe. There's a bell icon next to the subscribe button. When you subscribe, it'll give you the option to click the wiggly bell on top with these squiggles on it. Click on that. You'll be notified when I do new videos. You can contribute to the channel by using the thanks button or donating. Information on donations are in the description box below. You can contribute for free by liking this video or leaving a comment. Likes and comments give the video greater circulation. Information on memberships and readings are in the description box below. Thank you for sticking around. try and focus on getting centered this week with regard to what is the right strategy for you when it comes to making decisions. Because that's very Mercury, how you're processing things. Mercury is not just about external communication. The external communication depends on what you are deciding, and decisions, your intuition can tell you, or you can have a feeling, but ultimately it's going to come through the mental realm. And with that Mercury Chiron conjunction, you could be responding to things that are right for you in the Aries part of the chart, and that could produce a certain healing in the Aries part of the chart. Or a lot of this could be you having to pull yourself together to think in a way that is more healed and empowered and secure with regard to what is right for you and how you're making choices and what you're moving towards and what you're working towards and how you're going to get there, how you're going to prioritize, when you're going to act on something, when you're going to move. Don't knock data and facts, especially if your North Node is encouraging that way of thinking. Now, as I said, if you have the North Node in the 9th house of Sagittarius, be careful of giving facts too much detail. Remember to be open to intuition and taking risks. But sometimes it's facts that light the way with regard to when do we have what we need in order to be able to make a leap, or when do we... So just, life is a dance between opposing polarities, Each of the opposite houses contains something that the other house does not have. But both those principles are important. And this could be a healthy reminder for you to get in touch with your North Node placement in your birth chart. Those of you who've done readings with me know that there are quite a few books that talk about the North Node in birth chart, but the one that is, I find, the most comprehensive and the most worth spending the money on, and I do not know her and I do not get a cut from this, is Jan Spiller's Astrology for the Soul. It's almost become conical because sooner or later I recommend it to everybody. But I do think that it's an important thing to factor in and know about, and that is a pretty, there might be a few things here or there, but I think it's hard for me to recommend another book where you might just have a page or 2 pages or 5 pages or half a page. At least in Spiller books, she devotes, it's pretty thorough. All right, we're going to move more towards the full moon video. And then after I do the general full moon video, I'm going to start putting my attention on the members' rising sign specific membership videos. Okay. I was kind of intrigued by doing the monthly video yesterday. I might actually do general videos also just on the transits through the Taurus part of a chart and the transits through the Aries part of the chart and the transits through the Gemini part of it. It could be a great way to kind of isolate what's going on there to help us think through what the sequence of the personal planets and the longer planets are doing just in that part of the chart so we can make sense of things. Okay, well, more to follow clearly. Take care.